Welcome back. Now in this video we're going to be discussing setting up your home network for production using Camtasia 9. Now we talked about using an external drive last time, and that's so that you can transfer files. So you would produce the files on one machine, save them onto your external hard drive, then take that external hard drive, plug it into your production machine, and then start the rendering process on a second machine while you work on the machine that you do all your work on. But now there are other ways to do this, and if you choose not to go that route and buy an external drive, but you still want to render videos on that production machine or on that different computer, you can actually do so. Now what you'll need to do is to make sure that your home network can actually see, can actually recognize all of your computers and all of your drives. Then, as we said earlier, you'll need to make sure that you have all of your assets on your production machine. So let's take a look at what we mean by that. Now typically, if you have computers connected by a home network, you'll be able to see all of those computers on the same network in this area of Windows. And as long as you can see those other computers, you can actually access their hard drive, provided that you've done all of the networking involved. So what you want to be able to do is you want to be able to see the network drive on another PC. So for example, as you can see this particular computer on this network, even though this is not the computer I'm working on, I can move files over to this drive, and this computer can see, for lack of a better word, into mine. So they can move files back and forth to mine. So what that means is that I can actually access files to do my transfer using my home network. So that when you're using Camtasia 9, and let's say that you want to run a batch job, what you're going to do is you're going to go and add files. Well, where are you going to go get those files? That's when you'll go and get the files from the network as opposed to getting them from your hard drive. Now, this actually does work best if the files are local, but in some cases what you can do is you can transfer all of the files temporarily through the network. You can operate it that way. If you find that that's too much stress on your network, you can make some accommodations. But the point is that you can use your home network to access files back and forth, and you can use them to run on Camtasia. As we said before, the most important thing is that if you're using assets from your library, these libraries have to match on both the production machine as well as this one. Otherwise, if you start rendering a video, your production machine will look for these assets. And if you don't have them on your production machine, it'll stop the process. So you have to make sure that you've exported your entire library from the computer you work on to your production machine. And you can do that very easily if you just go to the library tab and then you look for export library. So you're just going to export your library to a zip drive, and then you're going to re-upload it on your production machine. And of course, this is what we've been talking about. You can then have your production machine access the files on your creation machine in order to render your videos. That's really the point of having this network set up and having everything in one place. And this can be especially helpful when you have multiple videos to do and you're going to run these jobs in a batch, and you've either got to keep working or you've got to set it up so that you can start a process, walk away, and then come back to your personal computer and do some work without having the resources tied up. Welcome back. Now in this video, we're going to be talking about Camtasia projects, media, and recordings briefly. We talked about in the main course that you want to make use of Camtasia projects. So yes, you're going to record video. Yes, you're going to have a file that you're going to be working with. However, you want to be in the habit of also using the project files, which is any changes that you make, anything that you edit, anything that you add, any annotation that you make. When you save it over in that project, what happens is you haven't done anything to the original recording, and it gives you the opportunity to work with that original file over and over again in different ways. Project means that you're going to be able to save your edits in a file as you make them. And it also means you can work with multiple media sources. So in other words, if you want to bring in another video, if you want to bring in some other audio, if you want to bring in something that's not in the library, you can. And you don't have to worry about it causing any problems with something that you've previously done, or even causing any problems with the recording, because all of these things go along with or right on top of the recording when you actually use them. And the only way that you can make use of those things is that you have to use the project feature. So basically what a project does is it saves time. It saves you time from having to redo and restart videos once you have made a mistake. And this is a major thing to learn, that you want to make sure that you're saving the projects. Once you have corrected something, or even if you make a mistake, you can always go back and fix that mistake through the editing process. So don't record over and over again. Do one take and then just use your project file. You think of something that you want to insert into the video. You want to use a project. You think of something that you want to change about a project. You use the project file. Now, this is an important concept to understand, especially as we approach this next concept in the next video, which is doing all your videos in one take. Something that we mentioned in the basic course, but we really want to kind of expand on that and let you know why this is important to do, why it saves time, and why it's going to affect how you do the rest of your videos. Welcome back. Now in this video, we're going to be talking about another concept, which is doing all your videos in one take. And you do have to understand the concept we talked about previously, which is projects. Making sure that you're doing all your videos in one take. It requires that you use the project feature. Anytime that you add or change anything, you don't want to stop the recording and start another one over. You want to save even the mistakes to your project file. It's much more effective to do this and go back and edit out your mistakes. To do this, you want to be able to see on the timeline where you need to edit by putting a marker there. And we've shown you how to do this, but let's go over that again. And you can do that by going to the marker menu and then just going to this bar. And you can do that again. You can do that as many times as you want to. And remember, you can also do this during the recording process by hitting the marker key while you're actually recording, which is again yet another reason why you want to make sure that you are doing your videos with at least two screens. You want to be able to have that timing and that marker off to the side where you can click it, yet at the same time keep focused on what it is you're presenting. Now, what some marketers, myself included, mark their own edit space by stopping, allowing a little silence to pass, and then clapping 3 times loudly near the mic, like this. What this does is this produces a visual effect on the audio timeline that'll look different than anything that you're doing if you're talking. And that means when you see those 3 claps, when you see that signal, that means then that that's where you need to go and focus your attention in editing. Now again, you can do this while you're actually recording. So while you're recording, if you're kind of cruising along and you're talking and then you discover, oh, I should have said something else. What you want to do is you want to stop, clap 3 times, and then go back to the point where you should have said something different. And then you'll know how to determine where it is you're going to actually place your edit. But you mark the place at which you make the mistake during the recording process. And of course, as we said, all of this is going to be visible on the timeline. And as you do these things, you want to be able to keep your changes. And you save them as you go into your project file. Now, the other thing that you want to do, you want to make sure that you program the pause button as you record the way that you want it. And this is an important thing because you need to be able to pause the recording at the push of a button. If you try to do it by catching your mouse and trying to figure out where you're going to click on the actual recording toolbar, It'll keep you from finding the most accurate point and delay you in how you're going to be able to edit your video. So you want to make sure that pause button is programmed the way that you want it. And basically what that means is that when you look at your tools option inside your recording toolbar, you want to make sure that whatever you program this to be, that you know what it is. If it's going to be F9, it's going to be Control F9, that you're able to go to that button and you're able to click it in order to make the recording do what you want it to do. So there will be a default, but you can change that default to be whatever you want it to be. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video.